This week on Crucible Radio, we discussed Tilt, prepping for the Taken King, and of course an interview with me, Lace Up Lauren, about the Court of Orcs reveal, and swords, and other awesome.
We interview you, but this
Lauren, you're the guest. You're not going to take over the show. Let's
like in the future.
I mean, I was just really excited to talk about
We'll use it.
You know what? Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
A little fool to fall into the darkness. Let's smooth it out now. Don't come to me if you're really about it. Better off without it.
Hey, Swain, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing, birds?
I'm having a wonderful day. Bones, how are you?
Well, I'm not going to sing it, but I'm also wonderful as well.
Oh, you're missing out, man.
Great time to be into Destiny, as always. What do we got this week, guys?
We had a stream reveal. We had a weekly update to rival all weekly updates.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to be a little relieved when we go back to the boring times when we're just playing content instead of losing our minds week after week after week about the content we're about to play.
When we can actually talk about metagame and setups and the weapons that we actually like using instead of just screaming our heads off all day while Game Informer or whoever reveals amazing content.
Yeah, I swear, guys, we actually do talk about those things.
We do, because this is a Crucible podcast.
It's Crucible Radio.
That's right.
To be specific.
All right, well, hype aside, let's quell it for a second here. We'll get to it. But how did the past week go for the two of you in Destiny? Swain, how about you?
It went pretty well. I mean, I've been at the grind. You know, it was a good week because Inferno Clash is back in the playlist.
Oh, yeah.
Been playing a lot of that with you guys. Just getting ready for the Taken King, playing Crucible, getting my bounties done, filling out some Grimoire, and public events. So many public events.
For those of you that don't know, Swain is working on a second character account. So he's been going to the Moments of Triumph through an entirely new account for the past 3 weeks, and you've got, what, 11 public events left?
That's it. 11
Crazy.
Public events. I just finished off a bunch of Grimoire, too, so...
You're a madman.
A little bit of PvE, but...
Shooting right past my Grimoire in no time.
I think I'm at like 2810. Close and close.
It's a little close for comfort. I have to start caring about that number for some reason.
Yeah, knock out those Wolves bounties this last week. What about you, Birds? What have you been up to all week?
You know, I just do my thing. I've been playing a lot of Rumble. I actually have to say, just earlier today, I played a perfect Rumble game for me. It was Shores of Time, which is such an easy map for me because there's those 2 power points. You've got sort of the platform by sea, and then you've got the A caves. And I just got into this rhythm, especially in the A cave side, where I was just catching all of the spawns, and I was timing my grenades just right, and wasn't a sum of all tears, but it wasn't too far off. And yeah, you know, I mean, I find myself just keep coming back to basics. Like, as much as you can think about team play and weapon builds and perk selection, I just have find myself focusing on getting headshots. Like, it's a basic thing, but it is such a huge difference between winning and losing for me. So yeah, kind of back to basics and just getting my 1v1s up in preparation for whatever's coming next. Yeah. What about you, Bones?
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a good thing to focus on. I mean, there's not much else to do with all the changes coming up, so focusing on headshots, that works. This week, for me, at least, I've been playing a lot of Sunsinger, and I brought out of the vault Voidfang Vestments, so I'm getting those grenades on spawns, and it worked wonders in Trials. I played a lot of Trials this weekend and had a great time with that. But then I just brought it into Infernal Clash this week, and I've had a blast with it. As a diehard Warlock, I've only played Voidwalker in the Crucible, and now I'm popping grenades all over the place and trying out a different class and getting used to Glide, sort of in preparation for Stormcaller, but I've been having a ton of fun with it. The other thing I have to announce is that I'm now writing for PlanetDestiny. I am...
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm going to be contributing some content to that site. Our wonderful partners that post our podcast on YouTube. You might be listening to us right now on YouTube. And yeah, I'm really excited to just, you know, share my thoughts about PvP, even some thoughts about PvE, which I know is crazy.
Maybe now's as good a time as any to announce it. We may be very briefly dipping our toes into the world of PvE for one big episode. This is something we've been thinking about for a long time. with the Taken King coming out, we're going to be in the Crucible, but we're also going to be playing a ton of new content. And we're looking to put together a bonus episode talking about all the stuff that we normally don't talk about on this show.
If you want to hear us talk about lore, talk about the Grimoire cards at length, get excited.
Yeah, stay tuned. Opening week of Taken King will be a lot to talk about, and we're going to, just get it out of our system so we can come back on our weekly schedule and focus on PvP. But yeah, there will be what are we calling it? The PvE episode?
It works better in text than it does out loud. I don't know if we've actually said that out loud.
You gotta say it in a Russian accent.
We're going to release the PvE episode.
The PV episode.
the PV episode.
Nailed it. Perfect.
Yeah, if you want to hear that exclusive episode that will not be on YouTube, you can go to our iTunes, subscribe. There's a link. It's all over the place. We try to get lots of content for YouTube, lots of content for the RSS and iTunes feed. So please subscribe. You will not be sad.
No, you will be the opposite of sad. You will be smiling, guys.
But anyways, we've got some news to talk about, right?
Why don't we start back at the stream that happened on Wednesday with Laced Up Lauren. They went over the Court of Orcs, which isn't kind of anything PvP, but they did show a few exciting things during that stream and then announced a few things towards the end of it.
Oh, man, you guys. The swords?
Swords?
Are you kidding me?
Swords.
I mean, I would give up my exotic slot for one of those swords. Come on.
So many of you have asked us about how we feel about swords, and I don't think we can express
That's how we feel about it.
Excited we are.
Freaking swords!
It looks like you're going to be able to, you won't be able to find swords. They won't be exotic drops from Nightfalls. It won't be, from doing your weekly Crucible bounties. It looks like you're going to have to forge them in some way.
Yeah, I really like that because it's already stopping the RNG madness that was year one. And there will be quests to complete with solid, concrete rewards that you are guaranteed to get. And they are some crazy cool rewards at that. So I really love that strategy that they're going for.
There's some other cool stuff, too. I have to say, I've never been so just at a base level attracted to an auto rifle like I was to that Suros auto rifle with the little pop-up scope and just the sound of it and the tick, 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 tick. That just looked fun. I would love to take that into the Crucible.
Yeah, those are looking good.
I do want to ask what you think, Bones, about that storm grenade. It looked pretty awesome for the Warlock.
I mean, it's so tough for me to tell. I couldn't tell if it's just mopping up thralls or if that's really what was happening, but it looks like it lasts a while, and I don't know. I was pretty just sort of set on the fact that I was going to be spamming arc bolts as much as possible, like I already do currently, but I will give it a shot. I am going to put some honest time in the Crucible with the new grenades and see what happens, because I love change, I love the future, I love additions to this game, so I definitely would love to see it appear in the meta as a viable choice. And I think grenades have had an issue in previous classes where you kind of know the best one, and it's up for debate, kind of, but most of the time it's really not. So if there's a choice, I'm happy to have that problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think it takes my favorite thing about the arc bolt and just goes even I love an arc bolt because it is a very forgiving grenade. You just kind of get it in someone's general direction and it hits them. And it seemed like it had just a huge area of effect to it, which sounds nice. That might be helpful.
It looks bigger.
It does.
It really does, compared to the E3 builds that we've seen on YouTube and stuff like that. That's kind of what impressed me. I was like, whoa, that thing looks like it covers some serious space. So that's cool.
Yeah, it looked like it compared to the size of an area effect from a Nova bomb.
Right. Wouldn't complain about that. That's for sure. Mm-mm. So what do you guys think? Do you think swords are going to be used a lot in PvP? I mean, this is 100% conjecture. There's no way to tell, but I'm kind of on the fence. I don't know if I'm pulling one out just yet. I don't know if you guys felt the same.
It might be neat in a Trials of Osiris type of, or an elimination playlist where you only get it once. Mm-hmm. But even then, the Crucible's kind of dominated by the rocket launchers, just in general. So it'll be tough to move away from rocket launchers unless, like we said before, if the swords have some sort of blocking mechanism that prevent you from insta-dying from rockets. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm quoting somebody, and my apologies. I don't remember where I read this, but I think somebody captured it right. They said either swords are going to totally dominate in the Crucible, or there'll be a novelty that you never really pull out. I kind of suspect it's going to be one or the other. I mean, I already find myself pretty much outside of Iron Banner going for the rockets every single time, because even if you can get more kills with a machine gun with Field Scout, it's just tough to beat the 4 guaranteed kills of a rocket launcher. And to turn something like that on for a sword where you're carrying it around for the rest of the match, trying to get, sort of into melee range so you can use it, I would just rather use my primary, use my secondary. But we'll see. They might be game breaking, and that would be fun. I'd like something fun to replace Blink Shotgun.
Yeah, I had a few thoughts on them, and I was actually thinking about Halo. I had forgotten that Bungie has actually designed swords before. There's the energy sword in Halo games, which is a feared weapon when someone gets it in PvP. And specialty weapons work a little differently in that game. The timing is different, and it's more of like, one person on the map you need to watch out for, as opposed to, for the next minute, everyone has rockets. So I'm wondering if people will fear it the same way, which I don't think they will, because it'll be, something that everyone can get. And I think that puts it at a disadvantage. The other thing I'm worried about is because of the fact that it's a melee weapon. And of course, there's new movements and new moves and stuff like that hopefully give it some range and boosts to mobility. But it could end up having the same problem as shotguns if you're not using them correctly. And everyone's done that where they're thinking, I'm going to try out Blink Shotgun, and they pull out their shotgun 50 yards away from a dude and realize, he can still kill me before I get there. So what worries me is that I'll have my sword out, it'll be heavy round, and I'm thinking, let's use this stuff. And then it turns out I'm still getting killed at range because everyone's got guns and I have a melee weapon. So if the blocking thing works, cool, if that mechanic is effective. And I think it also depends on what happens to rockets with the grenades and horseshoe change. That could make it effective, but right now I'm going to be cautious about it because I think there's, like Birds maybe mentioned, it could be novelty. One thing that might be amazing though is instead of sitting or dancing to peek around corridors, you just hold triangle, get that third person angle. You can move around while doing it and peek around corners at any time. If that works, then that's a metagame move right there. That's something you can use it while it doesn't have ammo, so that could be big.
With the Taken King coming up, we have a lot to prepare for. Is there anything in particular you guys are doing to get ready, get amped up for Taken King as far as, bounties? Are you doing Vanguard points, reps, all that?
We just had the weekly update come out and found out that a lot of the stuff that we were sort of thinking is Taken King stuff, we're actually getting quite a bit earlier. We're getting a full week in advance, so we'll get a chance to play around with it. And a week is a lot of time. I mean, if we've got a new Crucible balance to play with and it turns out auto rifles are back in a big way, a week is enough time to, run to the tower and buy one of those vendor auto rifles. But that being said, I'm kind of just willing to go into the Taken King and experience it for what it is. There's going to be new weapons. There's going to be new armor. I like to have at least one of each weapon type in my vault ready to go, just to have handy. But I don't know if there's anything that I have to bring with me into the Taken King, aside from stuff that just has sentimental value.
I'm really on the same boat with you there, Birds. I'm looking forward to change, to a fresh start. I want entirely different gear, entirely different weapons. And I do understand that the Crucible is balanced level-wise, so you can use whatever old guns you want, but I don't want that necessarily. I want to find my new favorite weapon. Mm-hmm. So, we're getting the weapon balance a week in advance. We're actually getting a Crucible demo, which is crazy. It's so cool. And so there will be new things to try out, but we'll still be using our old guns. I think I'm just going to dig through my vault and pull out stuff that I haven't used in a while, see how it feels, and use that as a jumping off point for when I do collect new gear. I'm going to dig out my Monte Carlo and say, do I like auto rifles? I'm going to pull out a fusion rifle and think, how does this feel now? what's different about Blink or Shotgun, and use all my current gear to practice and to get a feel for it. But I'm fully prepared to have an entirely new inventory a month from now, and that is the most exciting thing I can think of as someone who hates hoarding.
I will say I've done one thing, and that's kind of just been paired with my moments of triumph. I've been saving all of my public event packages each day, because each one gives you some experience. But like I said, smart. I've been doing them every day just to get the moments done. But if you're at this point, maybe you want to start, there's probably a week and a half left before you get going, so you can do one a day. As soon as the Taken King drops, you just cash them all in, get yourself some free experience, use those Red Bull codes for a double experience. It's something to do. It's something, if you're having some sort of lull. I would say next week no one's really going to have much of a lull when it comes to playing Crucible with the Rift and Mayhem previews. And
all those new maps.
The Arms Day. This wasn't mentioned in the update, but Banshee will be having the Arms Day testing weapons out next Wednesday or Tuesday. Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that Bungie wants people who have never played the game who are just coming back to the game to be able to get into it and be able to be competitive. So don't stress too much about not having checked every box before you head into it. I mean, you could go in pretty much naked and you're going to be in good shape. Even with a brand new account, you still get that level 25 boost and a better loot system. So we're all going to have plenty of new stuff to deal with going into Taken King. So we've had a lot of fun these past couple weeks fielding questions from listeners. As always, if we read your question on air, we got a Red Bull code coming your way. And it's fun. I like it. You guys come up with some interesting angles that sort of get us thinking and get us talking. So Swain, what were they saying this week?
We have two questions here, and our first one we're going to lead with is by Woody IVV. He said, "Here's a good one for you guys. Why do you guys lean towards PvP in Destiny rather than PvE?" Well, Woody, I will say that leaning towards PvP has kind of been new, for me at least. I loved PvE when I first jumped into it. It's what hooked me. It's what got me into Destiny so hard. But as soon as the content ran out for me, I was just scratching at the bit to find something new. And when I discovered PvP, it was kind of like every single moment was new. It's never, for me, it's never dull.
What is scratching at the bit?
I don't know. Whatever.
I know. I like it.
It's chomping at the bit.
I too have felt myself scratching at my bit.
It's champing at the bit. Champing is what horses do.
Touché.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel the same way. I mean, look, I've been playing video games ever since I was a little kid, and I feel like there's just whole genres of video games that I just, things like football games or racing games. Like, I've played so much Gran Turismo in my life. I've played so much NFL Blitz, kind of dating me right there, in my life.
Did you play Pac-Man when it came out?
Yeah, I was playing Pong and Space Invaders because I'm old. I'm not that old. It's all relative. Anyways, the reality is that I hit a certain age and I just found I can play video games for about a week or so, because the thing that gets me hyped up or gets me scared or in the moment or sitting at the edge of my seat just starts to fade in time, because you start to figure out how the computer thinks and how the levels are built and what the gear is and what the bad guys are. And if it doesn't have that thing that just gets my heart thumping and gets me sweating and my blood racing, I don't come back to it. And so it was a shock to find Destiny and to find that I'm still into it after all this time. There's really something about playing against other people. I don't know. It stops being about the game and starts being about this contest of wills and this contest of abilities. I don't, it's not a good way to put it, but there's something about knowing that there's another person sitting on the other end of the internet connection, holding their controller, trying to beat you just as much as you're trying to beat them, that just makes the highs so much higher and the lows so much lower, that keeps me coming back.
Yeah, there's just a rush you get from competing at anything, and video games they're sports. You know, you can approach it the same way. And for me, PvE is like, you know, solving a puzzle. There is a finite number of ways to complete it, and you do that, and it's satisfying to figure out, that's for sure. Then you can even do it again and see how fast you can do it, or see if you can be more efficient at it. But eventually, there's nothing to compete at or to, I don't know what I'm saying, but look at the way people treat raids now after they've been out for months. You've got people speed running them and doing them with just melees and stuff, and that's awesome. But what they're doing is they're challenging themselves with constraints that are outside of the game, which is kind of how meta works. It's stuff that's outside of the game technically. It's not written in the game code, here's what you can do. So I mean, I'm going to say the same thing Bird said, but knowing that there's another person who's thinking and changing their thoughts, and the game can evolve because of that, with player choices, with developer choices, with the items in the game and things like that. I love it. I love following that. I love learning how to improve. And my favorite thing now is to watch a streamer, see them stand in a spot in the map and get 3 kills, and I've never stood in that spot. And I'm just like, wow, there's more for me to do and learn. And that happens in PvP far more often than it happens in PvE now.
So, our second question is a good one. I know, Birds, you especially love this one. We have Riley Hall 00 asking, do you think that some class setups will be Rift runners and perform better than the rest? For example, Blade Dancer with Mida, and I'm going to throw in the Radiant Dance Machines.
Oh, yeah, the Fizz build. I mean, Fizz is the fastest guy on the map already, so I don't think it's going to be too surprising if we see a lot of people copying that when they're trying to get from that spark to the Rift as fast as possible.
I don't know. I don't know if that's always going to be true. I mean, certainly not always going to be true, but I could also see something like a tankier build, because what sets Rift apart from other game modes, specifically Capture the Flag, is that you can shoot while you do it. You get your full arsenal, and if you want to tank and get Flame Shield and blow people up with a shotgun and stuff, you might be able to do that while holding the Rift. So I kind of why that's kind of why that game mode is so exciting, because who knows how it could go.
So here's how I see it happening. I'm going to try this out next week when it's previewed. But because it's going to be probably our best bet at what will be the most competitive version of the Crucible, we'll see teams form. I'm sure as hell going to find a team. And maybe try and assign some, you stay up here, you guard the spark, make sure no one from the other team gets close enough. Get your setups. This is what we've been practicing in Inferno, getting setups made and translating that into a huge team building activity. So one guy is going to be dedicated as the Rift runner each time. So say you Birds, like I like the Radiant Dance Machine setup because it's quick and it'll get you to the Rift quick. And the rest of us have our roles. Like I'll be in the back covering you from afar. Bones will be off to the right covering the sniper lanes. It'll be it'll be interesting. Like I foresee a lot of strategy and I foresee a lot of fun going into becoming a sport. Like we're talking about, sports have roles. Like if you're playing soccer, you're right wing, left wing. Same thing with hockey. All that they have dedicated, your defense, your offense, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the Crucible, sports-wise.
Yeah, more team dynamic for sure. The more team dynamic, the better for me. I can't wait for that.
I think there's definitely going to be a role that we saw in the PvP Rift tourney reveal, which is Meat Shield, who goes out in front of the Rift runner and soaks up bullets, and I don't mean to brag, but I'm pretty good at eating a couple bullets.
Yeah,
so
throw a Titan on with that little shield thing.
Hey,
there you go.
Finally, there may be
one use for that.
Wow, dude, that's the meta in your front of your very eyes. We're suddenly seeing a skill that's never been used, and we have already applied it to the new game modes.
So I was actually thinking that a max armor Titan possibly even with that shield, may be one of your best choices for the Rift Runner position, because even with really low agility, because you have the skate, you can still move at crazy speed. Because you're a Titan, you have access to armor levels that no one else has. You know, if your goal is to survive as long as you can, move as fast as you can, and get as close as you can, because even if you don't dunk it, every little bit of distance gives you more points. I mean, maybe that'll emerge. Maybe it's not just the sheer speed of the Blade Dancer that's going to make it, but the ability to move quick while being able to survive 1, 2, 3, 4 challenges from the other team.
Yeah, or you could be that guy and wear the ram, right?
Yeah. Hey, if it works, it works.
That's true. Well, we really appreciate all the questions we got. It's so fun to hear your guys' thoughts and everyone's thoughts. And if we didn't answer it on the show, I don't know, tweet it, me and Swain. We'll talk. We love talking Crucible.
You can tweet at Famous Birds.
Birds will get on.
I made like 6 tweets this week.
He may or may not respond to you. That's the key.
I do like responding. I see the little thing on my phone, and it's like, oh, somebody I've never heard of is talking to me on the internet. Can't let that slide.
Yeah, all 3 of us love to hear feedback and stuff like that. So please don't hesitate that if we didn't read it specifically on the show, we still want to talk shop.
Ask our specific Twitter handles, and it's harder for us to answer specific questions on the Crucible Radio Twitter handle. That's kind of where we are, the hub. But ask us specifically what you think, how we will use Titans, how we will use Warlocks, all that. More than happy to answer.
So, Bones, tell me about this PlanetDestiny gig you got.
Well, as of today, my first article is up, and I'm going to be writing a ton more. I'm sure there will be plenty already out by the time listeners are hearing this, but I started out with something that has been an issue for many and something that we've been discussing off air a lot lately, but that's tilt and how to control it.
Now, what is tilt?
Well, tilt is a thing that happens in many other types of competition, but the term comes from poker. It's actually the act of getting in way too deep, continuing to bet when you're on a losing streak, convincing yourself you're about to get lucky, and eventually never getting lucky and losing a lot of money. And maybe the dealer is just sucking you dry and they want you to tilt. Maybe you're just angry about something, but tilting is when your emotions have taken over, you're no longer thinking clearly, and all your decision-making skills are completely impaired. And that can definitely happen in a game like Destiny, and it has definitely happened to every single one of us. If it hasn't, show me your ways, or you might be a robot.
I'm no robot. I definitely had a time this week where I was tilting pretty hard in Inferno, and it was not fun. It's just getting angry. It's tough this week leading up to the Taken King for me to stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that is pretty common with tilt, I know what happens to me is, you see it a lot when you play Rumble. I'll go into a Rumble match and I'll just be matched up against players who are better than me. And they'll kill me, and they'll kill me, and they'll kill me. And what I really should be doing in that moment is going, okay, I'm playing against a different type of player. I need to change up what it is that I'm doing. But instead, I just keep trying to do the thing that I was trying before, but trying it harder and angrier and like more determined, and getting punished for it. So I think part of being able to deal with tilt is being able to sort of take a step back and say, what am I supposed to be doing right now? I mean, should I just be, gritting my teeth and trying to power through it? I mean, maybe, but not always.
If you hold the controller harder, it's easier.
Right, just squeeze it until I'm meleeing all the time because I run bumper jumper.
That's why we get the scuffs, right? Just in case we chuck it across at the wall. Yeah, and I mean, it happens in small ways and big ways. Obviously, the big ways are screaming about Thorn into your friend's headset. But even some small ways are just being a little stubborn. You might go 4 trials rounds getting sniped at the bridge on Shrine. And it's just like, why do that to yourself? But you're not thinking about, purposefully getting in their lanes. You're just kind of grinding without thinking about what's happening. And that's tilt. I mean, you're getting emotional, you're getting worked up, or you're getting frustrated, even slightly. And that already throws off your game. So it's very tough to notice because it can start impacting your game on a very basic, small level, which then just snowballs out of control.
So I've thought a lot about what the opposite of tilt is. And if tilt is like, okay, you're frustrated, you're raging, nothing is going your way, I don't think the opposite of it is like, you're cheering and you're talking smack and everything's going perfectly, and it's kind of this other state that psychologists talk about called flow, where you're kind of not even there. You're not even really thinking about what you're doing. You're just doing it. And like, I think my favorite example of this when I first found out about it, when I was younger, I used to work in a sandwich shop, and we'd work Saturday mornings and get these crazy rushes. And there'd be days where I'm making sandwiches, I'm working at the register, I'm taking orders and bouncing back and forth between it. And I kind of lose track of time, and I'm not really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just doing the thing that I need to do. And I can always tell I sort of have hit this flow state because I'll look at the clock and it's like, oh my God, 3 hours have passed. And that is the kind of place that when I get into that, when I'm in the crucible, I'm just racking up kill after kill after kill, just totally executing without really thinking about it or being aware of it.
That's my whole real life job. You just described it there as getting into that mindset. And for me, it's trying to figure out how to transfer that over to playing Destiny.
I mean, part of the idea of being an athlete is that we practice and practice and practice. And nobody's going to tell you that you're going to be good in the crucible without putting in the hours. I mean, you have to learn how to work this controller and point it at people's heads and pull the trigger at the right time and do your slides and do your jumps. We spend so much time working on it, but that's not the end goal of it. The end goal is to have practiced all of that stuff so that when you need it to happen, you don't need to think about it happening. You don't necessarily need to think, okay, I'm going to aim for the head, and then I'm going to do a blink to escape because it's the rocket round. Well, I guess you wouldn't be aiming for the head if it was the rocket round, but bear with me. You're just kind of doing it. You just have that rocket blink move ready to go. You've got that shotgun melee thing ready to go. So when it comes time to do it, you don't have that tiny delay, that tiny fraction of saying, okay, now I need to do this and going for it. It just sort of happens because your mind knows what to do in that situation.
Definitely. Well, the thing I mentioned in my article is also turning tilt into fuel. And I didn't hit on it a lot, but it's very possible. I don't want to suggest that every time you're frustrated, getting more intense will help you. But when you start to feel frustrated, or you have that competitive spark happen, you can turn that into success because that really fuels you and wants you to succeed. I mean, if you're getting sniped by the same guy, don't rage, don't stand in the same spot, but you can think like, oh man, this dude is good. How great would it feel to throw him off or to end his kill streak? How satisfying would that be to snipe him before he gets me? And that leads you to, your problem solving skills. I've been hit at the same spot twice. Obviously, this guy has this zone locked down. What I need to do is surprise him and go around. That's a smart decision to make. That's positioning and that's strategy. And if you're getting a little frustrated, that means you're being challenged, and being challenged is what you need to keep moving forward. So when you feel that happening, and try to identify it if it's possible, when you feel that, turn it into success. Try to throw someone off. Try to best them. That's the most satisfying aspect of Destiny.
It's the simple, quick wins, like something like that, like getting that kill on that guy. You may not have a huge positive KD that match, but you learned something and you changed it around on yourself and you got that kill. And I mean, it may not, you may not be at the top of that match, but it'll get you off that tilt.
Definitely.
You hit on something, like it's so easy to reset that tilty feeling when the right thing happens. Like if you get out sniped 3 times in a row and then you snipe him back and you get him, in an instant, your whole sort of view on the situation can change. And I think part of it's just like, you get this high adrenaline feeling, and it's the same feeling no matter what. It's the thing that makes you rage. It's the thing that makes you cheer. It's the thing that makes you want to throw your controller or turn off your PlayStation or complain about Thorn. And so much of it is just like, okay, it's there. What are you going to do with it? And the difference between just like being in the zone and burning through and being frustrated is, if it's really just as simple as, do did you kill him last or did he kill you last? Then you've got to have some control over it. There's got to be a way that you can take it and just look at it a little differently, sort of flip that switch and turn it into fuel, like you say.
Yeah, and it's really not up to you entirely if you're playing with a team. That's the best part about this. Obviously, if you're just pub stomping and you're rolling solo in control, I don't want you to get worked up about that anyways. But when you've got a team, I mean, we do it. Me and Swain will definitely just be like, hey, man, what's the deal? Like, let's just chill. Let's enjoy this. Let's get back to our game. And then it's like, oh, yeah, okay. I forgot I have 3 to 5 people helping me out right now. And it's okay to actually say that to someone. They're not going to, I mean, they might get frustrated, and then that's up for you to make a judgment call. But sometimes just like having that positive, like, all right, let's go. We're down 2 rounds in trials. Let's get them. Let's move this way this time. That kind of talk will just be like, that's the fuel right there for me, at least, is like hearing positivity from someone else who's just ready to go and you are ready to charge into battle with them. So it's a sensitive subject, and you don't want to come across as like, being mean or adding to the frustration and that kind of thing. But it's fun. They're your teammates. They're there to help you, right?
Yeah.
You definitely have to be on a friendly level with the person that you're saying this, because I've done it to Bones a few times, and I know that afterwards he's not going to take it the wrong way.
Definitely.
I mean, we got this, man. That's all it takes sometimes. And if you're playing solo, I mean, you can say that to yourself. Just what would you say to someone who is tilting in your position right now? And I think that's one of the reasons that watching your old gameplay is really helpful, because you can kind of be that for yourself. You can watch that gameplay where you were tilting out and you were raging, and sort of in the cold light of day, it's easy to look at it and say, oh, well, when I was busy being angry at this guy, I wasn't paying attention to my radar. I was so focused on him that I didn't see someone sneaking up behind me, and then they capped me, and then that just got it going even more. I mean, you can reevaluate these situations in another light and try and take that with you the next time.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to check out more, if you want to see my thoughts written down and, get this stuck in your head and constantly reminding yourself you're going to develop good habits, so just go to PlanetDestiny.com and read about it, man. This is something you got to think about constantly. There's not a one-time fix to these kind of problems, but I guarantee it will make your nights more fun, and it will make your teammates much more excited to play with you.
Well, guys, we got an interview today. We were talking about that stream release earlier, and how fitting this guest we have joining us in the interview room.
Crucible Radio exclusive.
Right, 123 Crucible Avenue. But before we get to that, I wanted to share with you my favorite song. It's this one. Can you hear it?
We gonna rock down to Crucible Avenue.
Something real, it happened true. You said you'd be somebody, could be longing for you. Is it the time? Is it the day? This touch is telling me that you're so divine. Well, it hurt, I guess you could. But if it's real, so real, it could cause a cut inside your mind. But I don't mind living a heart of the loveless gets fire.
What's up, listeners? It's Dry Bones, everybody, and it's time that you can follow us on iTunes, and you're going to get some exclusive content if you do. We are going to have stuff coming out that you can only get by subscribing to us. You can do it on iTunes, on PC and Mac, on Podcast Addict for Android. There's lots of ways you can find it. Get ready. There's going to be some cool stuff. We're going to talk about PvE, never before heard from the Crucible Radio guys. It's going to be fun, so just check us out. We'd really, really appreciate it.
Joining us today on the show, we have the host of one of the most popular, one of the most fun Destiny streams I've ever seen, and also Bungie's choice to show off the Court of Oryx in this week's reveal. Laced Up Lauren, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome.
So you got to play Court of Oryx, you got to play some Destiny stuff that none of us had ever seen until last Wednesday. What was it like?
Epic. That's the first word that comes to mind. I think
Kind of seemed epic,
yeah,
right?
Especially like just the beginning of opening up with the sword. I think everyone was really, really shocked with that. A lot of people actually thought that I messed up and that I wasn't supposed to show it. Like people were like, "Oh God, what is she doing?" I was like, "No, I was totally allowed to show the sword." I even asked them like, "Can I just start off with just opening with the sword?" Because that's what everyone really wants to see. I feel like the sword is the most exciting thing to look at right now. So that was really, really fun.
Got to give the people what they want.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about it. Did it feel good? Was it fun to use?
Yes, nothing is better than just smashing the absolute life out of your enemies. That's the best.
Well, so we have like the Hive sword. Is it similar to that? I mean,
Yeah, it feels pretty similar to that, to be honest. Of course, there's like different animations on, like there's the arc and then there's solar and all the other swords have different animations with them. So some of them, just look cooler than the others, but they all feel like super strong.
So we obviously as a PvP podcast, do you think there's an application for it in PvP after testing it out PvE?
A lot of people have been asking me that, and I think that's really hard because if you're comparing the sword to like rockets, you're at a distance with rockets. With a sword, you have to be close to someone. So in that time span of running up to someone with a sword, I don't know. I mean, you can probably definitely kill anyone who's not paying attention, but if you're reversing rockets, I don't know. I don't know how well that'll work.
Did it have like a block feature?
It did have a block feeture. I just didn't use it because I was too excited to smash it. So it did have a block.
Not a tough choice to make.
We won't judge you for that.
I feel like no one picks up a sword and thinks, I could block all sorts of stuff with this.
How did it feel using heavy ammo on it? I mean, it seemed like you pretty much had as much as you needed.
I can't like there was some points where I definitely ran out of heavy ammo and I was like, oh, there's a point where I can't keep using this. It kind of makes you slow down a little bit. So it's definitely a little weird with that, but there was a lot of ammo, like heavy ammo just chilling. So you didn't run through it super, super fast, but again, that obviously changes with how it's used in PvP.
Well, we don't have to go super into it because obviously it's not what we always talk about on the show, but I am curious about the Dreadnought. Did it feel like somewhere you'd return to often, unlike patrols now?
Right. I think the biggest thing with patrols is that people play them for like a week and then they get bored of them and they kind of move on. I think the one nice thing about this, I will say, is that there's not reoccurring bosses. Like every time you do it, it's going to be a different boss. Like there's not going to be repeating. Which is really nice. It changes it up so you're not just stuck killing the same thing over and over and over again. You kind of get a variety. And then, of course, there's like different bosses that will spawn with each other. You get different combinations every time. So at least it changes it up on that fact. And of course, everyone likes loot. So if you need loot, that's kind of an awesome place to go for it.
Yeah, loot's not bad.
No.
Sure. When you were at like the level 2 that had the 2 different bosses spawn and they each had their own mechanics, like I love that there's a mechanic other than just like slowly lumber around and then shoot very powerful things at you. It was like I was feeling stressed right along with you, like with the timers going.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny because we also played like a few more tier 2s, and the bosses that we got, the combinations were like a lot easier, and no one died. And then of course when we do it on stream, we got like the harder ones, and then stuff goes downhill. But it's kind of crazy with the timer, and then like they definitely prevent people from AFKing on like that kind of stuff, which is nice because I feel like a lot of the times, for example, like with the wolf stuff, they would let everyone else kill anything and then put a few shots into the end guy for the key, and that would be it. With this, you have to like be involved. You can't just run away and come back. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's definitely a shift to sort of arena style combat instead of sort of having a map that we run through backwards for the 10th different time.
Right.
Did you get to try any of the like new Crucible modes while you were out there, or is it just?
Unfortunately, no, because I was planning to do the day before. I was actually there on Tuesday, and we were planning to do that and like play their stuff, but a lot of my flights got delayed, so I unfortunately got there at like the really, really late night. So I kind of only got to get a tour and stuff like that. So kind of sucks, but it's coming up next week.
Is it as magical as it seems over there?
Yes, absolutely. It is so crazy beautiful inside, just seeing all like the artwork of Destiny, and just it's epic.
Okay, well, I'm a Warlock player, and you were playing the Stormcaller.
Yes.
I really want to hear what your thoughts were about the new class, either in general or PvP. What about the new grenades? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's the unfortunate thing with without playing it in PvP because it's kind of hard to compare PvE to PvP stuff. But I obviously really love Warlock. That's my main class. It felt really, really fluid, like the movements and killing things with it. I was really surprised with how fluid it felt, like, you know, triggering the super and lightning basically shooting from your hands. It was all really smooth.
The storm grenade, it just seemed to have like a huge area of effect. Like I noticed a couple times you threw it and it's just like, oh, that entire third of the arena is just terrible now.
I think with a lot of the new supers, all the nades are really sweet. So I'm excited to use different nades, like the Hunter nade and stuff like that.
Do you think the Stormcaller super is going to be competitive in a PvP environment?
I would like to think so. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like the Titan looks completely epic. So people, I think, are really excited, hammers, right? People are really excited to use that. But I honestly think the Stormcaller will do a good job in PvP. I think so.
Well, what about some of the new weapons you got to use, like that Suros auto rifle? Yep. Oh my god, it had like a little pop-up scope. Yeah. There's like a good sound to it. I haven't wanted to use an auto rifle for a long time until I saw it and heard that.
Yeah, I got like they handed me like all different weapons, like hand cannons, like all different stuff, and I was like, you know what? No, I've had enough of hand cannons. I just want to use an auto rifle. Even if I'm gonna regret it, I'm using an auto rifle. And of course, I picked the Suros one because it looks super sexy, and yeah, the reticle on it, like I really love the reticle on that one. So it felt pretty good. It sounded, you know, super beefy. So I was happy that I got to use an auto rifle.
We all have the anticipation coming up this upcoming week, Tuesday. They're going to drop the new weapon balancing on us. You got to use the auto rifle. How do you think it's going to do?
I think auto rifles will make a slight comeback. I don't think it's going to reign over like the Suros used to do or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be straight up auto rifles. Like, I don't think that's what everyone's going to switch to. I really don't. Mm-hmm. But I'm still excited to use different weapons and kind of shy away from hand cannons. But I still think auto rifles will be brought up to a usable level again.
I mean, we're sort of in this weird, like, 1 week limbo period where we've got the new game modes, we've got the new maps, and we've got the new balancing, but we don't have any of the other Taken King stuff. I mean, what are you looking forward to? I mean, is there anything in particular that you want to accomplish this coming week?
I just want to try out a lot of Rift. Like, that was my number one thing I think I'm excited for Crucible. Yep. Mayhem looks fun, but I don't think I'm going to play a ton of Mayhem because it is literally going to be absolutely Mayhem with just supers for days. So I'm really excited for Rift. I think that is going to be my go-to game mode for a while.
Yeah, Rift feels truly competitive, whereas Mayhem, I don't know if I could do that for more than 3 games.
Right, I was going to say. Test it out.
Yeah, Mayhem's going to be one of those things you sit down and be like, all right, where's all my friends at? We need to do this. I can't do this alone.
It doesn't sound fun going in there alone.
No, but with Rift, I think, like, if you compare it to, like, Control is fun, but I think Rift is way more objective-based, and it's going to take, like, a strong team to win consistently, I think.
Yeah, we've sort of been talking a bit about team strategies for Rift and sort of, all right, if you've got 3 people or if you've got 6 people, what are the different jobs? And when we saw the Rift reveal, we kind of got to see the beginnings of that, of like, okay, you're gonna run the Spark and you're gonna sit back and you're just gonna try and like get in the way. I mean, do you have any ideas sort of going into team play for that? You know, anything you're looking forward to trying out?
I mean, I definitely think communication will be key in trying to find out like which roles your team is going to fit into. I really want to run the Spark. I want to backflip into the goal and smash all the people around, kind of thing. So I definitely want to run the Rift as much as possible.
Do you sort of have a build in mind that is sort of going to be your Rift runner build?
I haven't really gone into that much detail of like what exactly I want to run, but I'm obviously going to run probably Warlock. I mean, Titan, I might pull out my Titan, but I'm a Warlock through and through, so I'll probably start off with something Warlock based.
I feel like there are so many people right now going, I should make a Titan. That sounds like something I need to do.
People now just want to start a Titan, basically.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the beginning a little bit. We want to know how you got into streaming and what really hooked you onto Destiny, because it's been a kind of a tumultuous year, but a lot of people are super passionate about it. So what really, got you into this game?
Well, just answer the streaming side. I honestly was just playing video games like most of my hours, so I just decided to stream it. I've been on Twitch for about 3 years, and when I first started, like, no one really did it full time. Like, not many people. I could probably name like a handful of people. So I never really thought it could ever grow to something as big as it is. And
Yeah.
just in general, Destiny, what got me hooked is, well, besides the game, like, the game is a ton of fun, but the community of Destiny, I think they are very, very passionate about the game. Whether if they don't like something and they hate it, or they really enjoy something, like, they're very vocal about what they enjoy and what they care about in Destiny, which I think is awesome.
That makes for a good stream chat and all that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, even though, like, there's some people who really love Thorn, and I'm like, I can't wait to get rid of the Thorn. It creates different arguments because people are so opinionated, and I think that's awesome. Like, strong arguments. I don't mind arguing anytime about something and seeing other people's sides and opinions, and I think that's what's the community is really, really about, of just, like, trying to get their opinions across and make this game even better.
I definitely noticed, compared to other sort of online PvP shooters, Destiny and just the community, it just feels different. I mean, I don't know what it is about it that, I mean, you go on to, like, the main Destiny subreddit, and there's people have ideas for, different ways to improve the game. They've got fan fiction, they've got art they've made. I mean, you see that in every game, but it seems like the Destiny community is just different. It's kind of unique in its own way. I mean, have you experienced that?
Yeah, I think the main reason for that is I think people want this game to succeed. They want something that they can truly enjoy. Mm-hmm. It's not just, I want to pick this game up for, a few hours out of the night and then put it down. And that's obviously how some people definitely play it. But I think a lot of the Destiny community is, I want this game to succeed. I want it to be the absolute best it can be. Whether that's, yelling about something you absolutely hate in the game. But I think it all just whittles down to, if you're going to argue about something and complain about it, it's something you probably care about and something you want to invest your time into. So
yeah, absolutely. We talked about tilt early on in this episode. I think you could apply our same teachings to, like, posting things on the internet. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can just start tilting and get so upset, but it's because people care so much and want a great game, which they know they can have.
Right, and I think that's the thing with Bungie. A lot of people think, like, they wonder, are they really listening, or do they really care about what we want? And whether that takes them, like, a while to push out patches or whatever, I think they are really, really active in the community and listening. Like, I honestly think that they always try making the game better for what we want and what will make the game, in general, just a better game.
Mm-hmm.
It's always kind of amazing when you get, you see the patch notes and there's some item, it's like, wow, 6 months ago we were all asking for this one thing, and there it is. They did it. They do listen to us.
It might take a little bit, but there's obviously kinks and stuff to work out. It's not as easy as just snapping their fingers and they change it. They have to run through tests and stuff like that.
I mean, if they didn't care, they wouldn't have been giving away 6 PlayStation.
That too.
Well, so you sort of talk about that long release schedule, and I know I definitely, once you're 3 months into a new expansion, things can start to feel kind of stale. But I mean, you stream religiously. How do you keep the game fresh when the game itself hasn't changed in a long time?
Right. I think that's obviously a thing. There's definitely, like, dips of quote unquote hype or around Destiny, and, like, when new DLC, new patches, stuff like that comes out, new content within the game. But I think the main thing when I stream, and I stream obviously, like, mainly Destiny, it's really about the people you play with. I think that is a big thing with kind of any video game. If you're with a really good group of friends and you're having a good time, you can play, like, whatever kind of game and you're still going to have fun if you're surrounded by people who, cheer you up and make you happy. So I think it's really just about the people I play with. Obviously, with Destiny, if there's some days that I'm like, I'm not really feeling PvP, I can do PvE, vice versa. So right. I think there's nice that there's different options. Like, if you don't want to do PvP, you can, try out other things versus other games. It's just like, it's strictly, PvP, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've definitely seen a huge change just with each new expansion. Like, there's more stuff than you can reasonably do in a week at this point.
Right.
Well, so, I mean, I enjoy watching your stream, and it just feels different because there's some players I watch who are just, like, strictly competitive PvP players, and you watch them and you're like, okay, these guys are good. And, it's fun watching, some poor Trials team just get stomped, round after round. But your stream, I mean, you guys are definitely competitive, but
I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to say, like, I am not anything super special at PvP. I will straight up be honest with that. I just play to have fun. Of course, everyone likes winning. Like, no one wants to get beat all the time.
Sure.
So it's not like I definitely don't think like I'm terrible or anything like that. I would just fit myself in the average group with PvP. Of course, I always try to improve. Everyone, tries to improve, but
Right.
the whole essence of my stream is just have fun. Like it's a video game. At the end of the day, you are playing to have fun. Whether that's, if you have fun winning, I totally understand. Everyone, like I said, likes winning. So I don't know. I think it's just really important to keep the mindset of I'm playing this game to have fun. I'm not playing this game to get mad when I lose occasionally. Like I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a great mindset to have, to be positive and try to improve. Even if you are average like myself, what are you personally working on? I know I have a lot of things I'm working on. Is there any aspects of PvP that you are trying to improve?
I mean, like in general, like definitely hindsight is 2020. There's definitely some plays that I make when as soon as I die, I'm like, why did I even do that? Like that was the stupidest choice I could have possibly made. You just look back like, why did I even do that? So definitely, I mean, with streaming, when I'm streaming, I'm obviously reading chat constantly. I think that's what makes it a little bit more difficult for me is that as good as I am at multitasking, I'm obviously a lot better player, I would say, off stream because that's the only single thing I'm focusing on. So It's really like balancing so many different things and what move should I make next to not end up dead, basically.
Do you feel like the Destiny community is ahead of the curve when it comes to making female players feel included? Or do you think there's any room for improvement? Because it's always a touchy subject, but I feel like there's a little bit of bias about Destiny being such a great community, and I do think it is, but does it come up at all?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I think it will always come up. I don't think it's ever going to go away by any means. I know it's a really popular subject, obviously, with my channel. I mean, I am a girl, obviously, but I don't, the thing is, like, I don't try to flaunt it. I have never labeled myself as a girl gamer. At the end of the day, I am just a gamer. Like, that's all I am. I'm just a gamer. I don't like putting any sort of other title to it. And on terms of the Destiny community with female streamers, I think a lot of like just specifically in the Twitch community, everyone is super supportive of one another, which I have never on 3 years of streaming, I've never experienced that besides the Destiny community. Like there's other communities that I've been in. It's just like it's not like Destiny. Like Destiny really, they support each other because I think they want the game to succeed. But it's kind of crazy, like switching between communities and seeing how exactly like other people, treat female streamers or whatever.
Right.
But I think overall it's positive in the Destiny community. I definitely think if someone doesn't want to watch a girl streamer, they're not going to watch a girl streamer. If they have any set opinion on, oh, girls only get viewers, etc., because they're a girl. I totally understand that. Like, that's an opinion, absolutely. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't think I'll ever be able to change. Like, there are some people who will continue to believe that no matter what. I totally get that. There's nothing I'm going to do to change it. At the end of the day, if I can change, like, a few people's minds that are like, I don't know, then that's a job well done for me. I know I'm not going to be able to change everyone's opinion, and that's fine.
There have just been moments where I jump into your stream and you're just, a couple hours in. I have no idea what's going on. And it's just like everybody is dying laughing and I'm trying to figure out what's happening. And it's like, okay, that's what this stream is about.
It's not focused on anything else, but yeah, it's a good time. I call my community the cool kids table. It's supposed to be kind of ironic because at the end of the day, we're all, nerds. And I say that lovingly, playing video games. Like, I just want anyone to, to come to my stream to not, it's not a sweaty stream. It's not anything but a good time. Like at the end of the day, when you close out of my stream, I want your mood to go up like a certain extent. Like I want you to have laughed in my stream at some point. That's really important to me. It's not about anything else but that.
Nerds are the new jocks.
Exactly.
I always say.
Well, and just a cool kids table that has space for anyone who wants to sit at the cool kids table is not a cool kids table I'm familiar with.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm into it. It sounds great. We're coming up literally on like the end of the first year of Destiny. What are some of your favorite moments from this past year? I mean, what are you going to miss or what are people who weren't around for the first year just never going to know about? I
mean, I think the big thing with Destiny at the very beginning was, the raid and killing Atheon. I think that was a lot of fun. I remember people, definitely trying to push him off the ledge, trying to cheese it in any way possible. Like a lot of people I don't think will experience that because Going in at a 34 and trying to kill Atheon, it's super easy. It's nothing, Definitely going through the very beginning PvP in Destiny was my favorite, where auto rifles were great. Not many people use, exotics other than like the Suros, or there was no Thorn shotgun blink stuff going on. It was a very chill Crucible, and that's what I miss. And I hope that comes back slightly. I don't want auto rifles to necessarily dominate, but just a more balanced PvP. I miss the old Crucible with just auto rifles.
I do too. I had a lot of fun then.
We're running into year 2 now, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of new people coming on to Destiny, plenty of new people checking out your stream. You have any advice for new players that might be just buying Destiny for the first time?
Now is a great time to get into Destiny. Just play through the story. That's sometimes the story is a struggle, but if you go through the story, rank up through bounties, play Crucible, just try everything out and see what you like and enjoy the most in Destiny, whether that's PvP, raiding, Prison of Elders, whatever you like. Trials, for example, that's definitely my favorite right now in Destiny, but just try everything out, see what you like the most.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when I first started in PvP, I spent a lot of time getting melted, just not understanding why. Do you have any PvP specific advice for, someone who's just, diving in for the first couple times?
I mean, obviously that depends on exactly where PvP is at. Right now, I would say Thorn Shotgun. That would be your key to success, unfortunately. But in general, I think a lot of people who make mistakes in the Crucible is your radar is super important. If you're not paying attention to kind of where your team is at, where the other team might be, where the other team is spawning, like I think a lot of people get messed up and not really focusing on their radar, which is a big thing. It tells you where the players are, where you might get shot at.
Yeah, just got to work on that awareness. That's the first step.
Exactly. Awareness is key.
So we have this question, and we ask it every time, and it never goes well. I don't know why we keep asking it. Perfect world, what is your favorite Destiny PvP map? What's your favorite game mode? What I know, right? It's such an awful question. But like, if you could put together just sort of like the perfect little PvP situation that you'd want to play in right now, what would that be?
I mean, like I was saying, Trials is definitely my favorite right now. I really, 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 really love 3v3. I think that is where Crucible is the best for me. Like, I think it's a lot more thought process that goes into 3v3 when you're not, worrying about 6 other players on the other team, and you can't really learn every other's people on the other team's play style when it's 6 people and when it's 3. So I prefer 3v3. If we're talking like Trials, since that's obviously 3v3, Burning Shrine is my favorite Trials map. It's the one obviously that comes the most often, but
sure, lucky you.
I know, right? Burning Shrine I think is nice because you can use a shotgun, you can use a sniper. There's multiple ways you can play that map. So Burning Shrine is definitely my favorite 3v3. If we're talking 6v6, I don't know if I have a favorite map for that. It really kind of depends on the other team kind of, and Control, I mean, I play a lot of Control when it comes to 6v6, so I would maybe say the PlayStation exclusive map for Control.
You and Swain.
Exodus
Blue.
Yep, there you go. I would probably say that for 6v6.
I love that map.
I do not.
You don't?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I keep flip-flopping. It's just like, if I have a good match, it's my favorite map in the world. If I have a bad match, it's just like, I'm done.
I used to say the Venus map, but I actually have grown to hate that map because everyone sits in the back and just snipes out a C. So that is X'd out of my favorite map.
All right, Shores of Time, you're on notice.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course.
How can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at LacedUpLauren, which is kind of the easiest place to find me because my Twitch URL is kind of ridiculous, but Twitch is twitch.tv/laced_up_Lauren. Kind of complicated.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
of course. Thank you guys for having me. I love talking about Destiny anytime I can, so it's awesome to talk with you guys.
Thanks.
Big thanks to Lauren for chatting Taken King with us.
As always, thanks for stopping by, everyone. You can find us on Twitter at Crucible. Oh no, you go first. Yeah, you're good.
Find us on Twitter at Crucible Radio.
Facebook, Crucible Radio.
Lauren.
Oh.
And PlanetDestiny.com/Crucible
Radio.
Bye, guys.
Bye.